time, weather, and
Audio Jungle.
I like this Marine Corps a lot. We have a Marine Corps that's very experienced, it's been in combat for the last 15 years. The quality of the Marine, even to get in the door, is very high. They didn't join the Marine Corps to sit on their sea bag back at Camp Pendleton, Camp Lejeune. They want to go somewhere and do something.
Welcome to my YouTube channel. I really appreciate you being here today. Old Fat Marine, and I appreciate it, and I appreciate the love I got from the previous video. I've gotten quite a few messages about, the article was "Silver Made Me Sorry I Was a Marine?" ? People understood what I was saying, and it was basically I love the Marine Corps, and I'm glad that got through on the video, and I appreciate all the comments. But today I want to continue on with what I think silver price is going to be if Russia invades the Ukraine, or invades Ukraine. I've learned you don't say the Ukraine, it's Ukraine. Okay, here we go. The silver price when Russia invades Ukraine is going to be one crazy world to live in. Okay, there are many possible outcomes.
Is it safe to cross? You want to move the
But I love to look
yes,
at history to see what could be coming in our future.
Come on, let's get him out of here.
The future of silver, the US dollar, oil, and NATO may all be colliding in the very near future. The great financial reset needs an excuse for it to happen so the bankers and politicians can swoop in with the solution.
Did you eat cake? No.
War is very profitable for those that do not participate.
There are over 550 million firearms in worldwide circulation. That's one firearm for every 12 people on the planet. The only question is, how do we earn the other 11?
Without rehashing the previous videos and articles, we will start off with the conclusions already previously reached. Every U.S. military conflict since 1812 has been started with a lie. Don't scoff at this unless you have read the articles or watched the videos, because if you do, you're merely following their plan. We all know that the U.S. is not the only economy in trouble these days, because the entire world is floundering in debt. In the past, the simple solution is to just come up with some reason to distract the population. Through monetarily profitable military action, bankers gain really a lot more than just money. They gain power and control, which enables the money to just keep exponentially coming in. Since we already know banks financially back both sides of a military conflict, we see the upcoming events in Ukraine could possibly be lining up for a possible doozy. Knowing that every conflict is very profitable, bankers have very little reason to avoid it actually. War is profitable for the bankers. Ukraine is a possible great flashpoint for the opening salvo of the Great Reset. Hear me out. If Russia invades Ukraine, the USA will be in the middle. This is why Biden is sending thousands of service members over there. He says they are not there to fight, just like we were told about Vietnam.
the Vietnamese government asked for equipment and advisors to help them meet this new aggression.
My concern is that NATO will not hold up and could possibly collapse.
Tank. Oh, in the Panzer Division. Oh, he brings it here into the battle. Oh, I see nothing. I was not here. I did not even get up this morning.
If Russia invaded Ukraine and NATO responded, that means many citizens in NATO nations will have no heating oil. Russia could just shut off their supply. With everything else, the allied nations are individually better off not joining in the fight. What would Biden do? Would he fight the war alone?
I could take him behind the gym.
Would he defend the people that don't want to defend themselves? The loss of prestige will hasten the looming collapse of the dollar. We are speaking about the cessation of the very fiber of America once the dollar is toppled. It will happen fast, it will be brutal, and it'll be like watching dominoes fall over. Also, remember, NATO's not too happy because when Trump was president, he ended the gravy train, and now the NATO members are having to pay their fair share. America is no longer running NATO as if it were a charity, and many nations do not like to have to pay for their own defense.
Not when it comes to Germany and Belgium and Norway and Canada. The leaders of whom he wrote a sort of a strict letter. Hey, pay up, do something. They are not receiving that criticism well. So
if NATO were to collapse and there was a shooting match, would not be good. Politics aside, the silver price when Russia invades the Ukraine may not be what you want to see in your daily reality. Many people fail to realize that if Russia invades Ukraine and NATO collapsed, or even if it just was a shooting war and NATO didn't collapse, the reality we know now is over. If silver were to hit $1,000 an ounce because the dollar died, it would not be a pretty picture. It will not matter if you're a Republican or a Democrat. It doesn't matter. The reason of what's going to happen is irrelevant, really. Regardless of the reason, there will be a conflict.
U.S. panic. 100,000 Russian troops ready to fight on Ukraine border.
The conflict will distract the population, as done so many times in history. But this time, it may be different. Very, very different. Since we already understand the Federal Reserve is actually a foreign entity, previous article and video, it becomes easy to see how profitable the destruction of the US dollar will be for them. Since the goal is to have an international currency, there only needs to be one event left to make that happen. The US dollar has to die. In order for the world bankers to benefit, they first have to create the problem, which they have. Inflation. It's not stopping. With the death of the dollar, there will be a mainstream and international currency that can swoop in to become the new world reserve currency. This currency already exists. The currency is already in circulation. It's called SDR, or special drawing rights. Links on the website. Once the dollar is dead, the bankers will have made a clean getaway. It will be the largest transfer of wealth in history, and it has been, and it will go straight into their pockets. The debt left from decades of pork budgets will finally land at the door. The death of the dollar will be finalized by wiping out the national debt that the world has been burdened with. Essentially, they're just going to reboot the financial system. Since the Fed is the same banksters as those on the World Bank, it is merely a line item on a centuries-long ledger. It's like Groundhog Day.
Didn't we do this yesterday? I don't know what you mean. Don't mess with me, pork chop. What day is this? Groundhog Day!
But the kicker of this is unbelievable, because when the bankers execute the ailing US dollar, they will merely start the process over again.
Groundhog Day! Groundhog Day! Groundhog Day!
It will just be with a different fiat currency. The misery and the destruction in the world as we know it will be brutal. But like war, the ones that suffer will be the people. The wealthy 1%ers will actually gain more wealth and more power. It's historically inevitable. The period of time we should be concerned with is the upcoming hyperinflation cycle. That will signal the beginning of the currency void. It'll be the time between the dying dollar and the implementation of a new fiat currency. This is the period of time where silver will be very valuable, but so will a pound of coffee or a pound of butter. But I digress. I'm not a prophet and I cannot see the future. We can only see the past, and if we do look, it's not a stretch to think that the world is getting ready to make more money for the banksters by just going to war. The perfect storm is approaching, and it's not a pretty one. Silver may be much more than a good investment, actually. If silver does what many hope it will do, the world may be forever scarred with another period of military conflict. Be careful for what you wish for. War is coming. Will it be Ukraine? Possibly. Maybe it'll be a small nuke bomb in some debt-laden American city that would be simply cheaper to eliminate. Start over. I do not know the future, but it would not surprise me at all to see the great financial reset be triggered by the collapse of NATO once U.S. impotence is visible. And just like in World War II, an invasion can't wait. The original date scheduled for D-Day was June 5th. Bad weather forced postponement till the next day. The dilemma General Eisenhower faced was he either had to launch the invasion on the 6th or just stand down. Just like in Russia today, the troops that are loaded to go cannot be spring ready if they wait around too long. If there is an invasion, it will occur when Moscow has the needed numbers. If there is an invasion, it will be sooner than later, just like Eisenhower. I hope I'm wrong, because one reason I live in a military town, and I swear I was never that young, because the Marines I see daily look like children to me. And I really worry for them, as they would be sacrificed for the political and banking causes yet again. Damn, I'm getting old. Semper Fi.